Okay, so this is my 6 kingdoms plus a virus organism diversity project. So the first section I got was Methanococcus aeoliolicus. For part A, the domain is Archaea, the kingdom is a Eukaryota, the phylum is a Eukaryota, the class is Methanococci, the order is Methanococcyles, the family is another Methanococci, the genus is Methanococcus, and then there are multiple different species of Methanococcus, but these are just some of them. So there's obviously the Methanococcus, and then there's the Maripelotis, the Vanelli, and the Volte, and then the scientific name is the Methanococcus aeoliolicus Kendall et al. 2006, which is when it was discovered. The common name is just Methanococcus aeoliolicus. It is a unicellular. It is a eukaryotic cell, and it's got a nucleus, obviously. The mode of nutrition is that through reduction of CO2 with H2, it forms methane gas, which pretty much gives it all of the nutrients it needs. Its environment is deep marine sediment, which it was first discovered there in Japan. It has no cell wall or cell membrane, but there is a thin S layer covering the plasma membrane. It reproduces asexually through binary fission, and it is rapidly growing and mobile due to flagella. The reproduction, it also only can reproduce at 80 to 90 degrees Celsius. The uniqueness of it is that it generates from inorganic materials and nutrients, and it is completely independent from all other life forms. So it is one of the only organisms that can do that. And since it lives so deep in the ocean, it makes it really helpful. Some more examples of some eukaryota are Halioarchaea, Methanobacteria, and Thermococcales. For human benefits, it can help construct and frame gene deletion and enable homologous expression over a protein. Some fun facts is that it is strictly anaerobic, even though it lives in the water. It has 2 flagella, actually, which allows for great movement. And it is one of the oldest respiratory metabolisms on the Earth, with it actually being developed around 3.4 billion years ago. And then these are just some pictures of it. Okay, for my next section, I have Streptococcus. So for part A, it's a bacteria. The kingdom is bacteria, the phylum and division is Firmicutes, the class is a Bacilli, the order is Lactobacillus, the family is Streptococci ca, the genus is Streptococcus Rosenbach 1884, which is who discovered it and when. The species is there are over 100 species and different types of Streptococcus. The scientific name is Streptococcus, and the common name is just strep throat, which, speaking of strep throat, here's a picture of it, and you can see there's like white sections in the back of the throat by the uvula and stuff, and then there's a yellow part back here. The white part is the most painful part of it all. I've had it multiple times, and even though you can only contract strep throat if you're prone to it, the white part in the back, what it basically feels like, it's like every time you like swallow or anything, it feels like sandpaper, and it gives you these like red dots in the back of your throat. It's horrible. But for part B, this is also just a really zoomed in part of Streptococcus in its main form. So just like as its cell. Streptococcus is unicellular. It is a prokaryotic cell. It has only ribosomes, no organelles. It's obviously got no nucleus. It's prokaryote. The mode of transportation, it's a human pathogen, and it uses glucose for most of its growth. So it basically just gets all of its nutrients like a parasite off of its host, like a human. The environment, it grows in like the wetter parts of your body, I guess. So like the mouth, the skin, the intestines, and the upper respiratory tract. The cell wall is a peptoglycan backbone and a lipoteic acid, and the lipoteic acid helps with the structural stability of the cell. Its reproduction is asexual binary fission. Its movement, it grows in long chains and moves from human to human, which actually a picture of the chain of the Streptococcus. Its uniqueness, it is one of the first microorganisms recognized to cause disease, and not only does it cause one disease, it causes multiple. Lovely. Some more examples of bacteria are E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Vibrio. Fun fact, Streptococcus actually, well, strepto, sorry, strepto means easily twisted. Its genus also, part of its genus is a salivary binome, microbiome. So it's not just like Streptococcus, it's a salivary binome. Another fun fact is a green color is formed on the blood sugar agar because like the green color is caused by the oxidization of iron in hemoglobin. You can eventually form an immunity to strep, but it takes a lot. Like if you actually get strep too many times, you have to get like your tonsils removed or something, which I might have to do. Not fun, but anyways. Some bacteria, like the same bacteria, Streptococcus, it is formed in making Swiss or Emmentaler cheese as the same bacteria that is found in your horrible throat illness. And it is also a purple color on a gram stain test. It was also, it infects over 700 million humans a year, and it has killed over 500,000 people. It obviously has no human benefits. It can cause pink eye, pneumonia, meningitis, and a lot more. So there's obviously nothing good about it. Okay, my next section is the Umictophyllum. For part A, its domain is a eukaryota. Its kingdom is Chromista. It's not a fungi. Its phylum is Heteroconchophyta. The class is a higher order taxa, and it has multiple different types of classes. That's just one of them. The other ones are like a eukaryota and Stramenophiles. Its order is a Spagroniales. Its family, it's got multiple families as well, one of them being the Leptomytales. Its genus is a Pythomythora. It has over 500 species. Its scientific name is Pythium oligandrum, and its common name is egg fungi. It's called egg fungi, and that basically means it's the oversized oogonia, which houses the female gametes. For part B, the number of cells, it is unicellular, but it forms multicellular thalli. It is a eukaryotic cell. It has two sets of genetic info, so it's a diploid, and I guess you could call it multinuclear. Its mode of nutrition is Protus heterotrophs, and it basically absorbs food from water or soil or from other organisms. Its environment, it's Sadotroph's parasite. Satotroph basically means it lives off of decayed matter, and it can also live in water, land, or air. Its cell wall, it lacks chitin in the cell wall, which actually is one of the reasons why it is not classified as a fungi, because even though it does feed on decaying matter like a fungi, it has a different cell wall, and it also has a multi-nucleized cell life cycle. It can reproduce in both ways. So when it's originally reproduced, they're asexual, but as it matures and as the cell gets older, it can reproduce sexually if like the cell chooses to, I guess. So the movement, the flagellum, allows rapid movement through water. Its uniqueness is that it's not a true member of the fungi family, despite common misconception. Some more examples of Chromista are Heterocon, Diacom, Ciliate, and some fun facts is that it caused the Great Famine of 1845, which you've probably all heard of. This bacteria, it killed off the entire Ireland potato crops. So I guess a benefit you could you could call for this fungi is that it caused your family to migrate to America if you're Irish. But another fun fact is it caused the first discovery of fungicide for when it was destroying another entire crop of wine grapes in France. So they had to come up with a solution for that. It can also decompose and recycle in its ecosystem. Fungi do a lot of that, despite them being not the best. So it obviously has no benefits. This water mold has caused multiple suffering in human periods. It can take out crop plants and tropical plants like pineapples and stuff like that. And it can also form lesions on fish, like say when salmon are swimming upstream, it can form all kinds of deformities on them. This is a picture of one of the infected wine grapes when they were coming up with the fungicide. And then this is one of the infected potato plant crops. And then this is just the bacteria in itself. So that's just a smaller form. Okay, so this is the morning glory plant. You've probably all heard of these. The domain of it is a eukaryota. The kingdom is a Plantae, obviously. The phylum is a Spermatophyta. The class is a Dicotyledonnae. The order is Solanes. The family is Convolvulcaceae. Sorry, that was hard. The genus was Ipomoea. There is over 1,000 species in the Convolvulcaceae type. The scientific name is Ipomoea, which is the same as the genus, and then the common name is just the morning glory flower. This is one of the pink, it's like a Japanese pink stripe morning glory flower. For part B, the number of cells, I wrote really big here, sorry. The number of cells, it's multicellular. The type of cell, it's eukaryotic. The nucleus, obviously, it's eukaryotic. The mode of nutrition is that it absorbs nutrients through the soil like most plants do. Its environment, it can grow onto any surface, like a pole or something, for instance, like say it wants to grow onto like a fence. It thrives in heat and actually does really bad in shady areas. And it tolerates dry soil surprisingly well, unlike other plants. This is it growing on like a fence, so it basically grows on like a vine. It's like a bush plant. Its cell wall, it contains cellulose and plastids. It reproduces by dropping seed pods, and other animals pollinate the areas by like birds and hummingbees. They can pick it up and go drop the seed to another area, but it also has these big black pods that it can drop. I have a picture of it down here. See, those are the seed pods. But its movement, it's stationary, it's a plant, but it's obviously constantly growing and wrapping its way around different objects. Its uniqueness is that it only blooms in the morning and it closes in the afternoon. It is a flowering plant. One of the similar plants is the moonflower, which actually it's the exact opposite of this one because it only blooms at night. Some fun facts that it can change colors depending on the pH level in the vacuole. It can grow up to 15 feet, and it always grows counterclockwise around objects. Like say it's wrapping around like a pole, it'll always grow counterclockwise. It grows on vines, not stems, which gives it that great length. But some human benefits is that it really doesn't have any. They're really nice to look at, but they're actually toxic flowers, like if you consume them, obviously, and they can cause nausea, drowsiness, numbness, and cramping. Okay, I think this is one of the coolest fungi I've ever seen. So it's called the blue milk mushroom. I even drew a little mushroom, but for part A, the domain, it's Eukarya. The kingdom is a fungi. The division is Basidomycota. The class is Agaricomycetes. The order is Rasuales. The family is Rasualeceae. The genus is Lactarius. Species is L. indigo, which basically just means Lactarius indigo. That's just a shortened version of it, which is also the scientific name. The common name is either blue milk mushroom or the indigo milk cap. For part B, the number of cells, it's multicellular. It's a eukaryotic cell. It has a nucleus, and it's a haploid nucleus. The mode of nutrition is mycorrhizal, and the mycorrhizal, it exchanges amino acids and minerals for carbon from its host plant. So it usually latches on to the roots of trees or the base of them, and it gets its nutrients from there. So it's kind of like an exchange parasite. It's not like a bad thing. Its environment, it's usually damp areas, like a muddy ditch with like grasses and some dead trees around it, typically like a forest setting or something. But the cell wall, it contains chitin and glucans. Chitin is actually found in exoskeletons of insects, and it adds structural strength to the cell wall of the fungi. For reproduction, it does it through spore released, common to ferns. Its movement, it's stationary, but the cap unrolls with age into an upward funnel shape. Its uniqueness is that it is one of the only natural blue foods that retains its colors. Most blue plants or foods, once they're cooked or smashed down, turn into a reddish purple color, but this one actually stays fairly blue for a while. Some more fungi are the silver blue milky, which is often confused with this mushroom, the shiitake, and the agaricus. Some fun facts is that once exposed to air, the milk turns green and the cap turns a grayish color, which it also does the same with age. It is edible, unlike a lot of mushrooms, which are poisonous, and it's fairly rare. The edible part of it, though, it's like a second-class food, and it's supposedly, by people that have tried it, it has a bitter and peppery taste. Some human benefits, it doesn't really have much, other than it adds some color to food and marinades, but if it's cooked down too much, it loses a lot of its color, so it's usually just added raw to certain sauces. My next section, I have the Bigeye Tuna. So part A, its domain is the eukaryote, the kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, the class is Acintotyprygia, there it is. The order is Scombriformes, the family is Scombridae, the genus is Thunnus, the species is T. obesus, which is just short for the scientific name, which is Thunnus obesus, and the common name is the Bigeye Tuna. Another name for it is the ahi bee, which they commonly call it in Hawaii. The number of cells, it's obviously multicellular, it's an animal. The type of cell, it's eukaryotic, but a lot of fish have T cells, which means basically since the fish is one of the most primitive vertebrates, they're the only creatures left with a thymus. It has a nucleus. The mode of nutrition, it feeds on fish, crustaceans, and cephalopods. The type of fish that it feeds on is epipelagic and mesopelagic. It usually lives in open waters of all tropical and temperate oceans, but it does not thrive in the Mediterranean Sea. It's just not found there at all, and they usually live in between 300 and 500 meters deep. They have no cell wall, unlike many plants and fungi cells. Its reproduction, it usually spawns in most months of the year in Pacific climate when it's usually the warmest. And they're mature, their size is from 102 to 135 centimeters long. Their movement, they move from cool water at dusk and warmer waters at dawn. Their uniqueness is that they have a unique vascular system that allows them to have a countercurrent heat exchangers that maintain body temperatures above ambient water temperature so they can forage into deeper, colder waters with poor oxygen. Some examples of some more Animalia are the yellowfin tuna, the dolphin, and the yellowtail snapper. Some fun facts is that it has 13 to 14 dorsal spines. It can grow up to 8 feet and 400 pounds. The biggest fish, the biggest big-eyed tuna that was ever caught by an angler is 392 pounds. They also have a maximum age of 16 years. They also cannot pump water over their gills, so they open their mouth. That forces the water through them. They are extremely healthy. They're low in saturated fats and sodium, and they're rich in niacin, B6, B12, selenium, and phosphorus. Okay, this is my extra credit section for the Norwalk virus. For part A, it's obviously a virus. Its kingdom is Orthonavirae. The phylum is Vissuriticoda. The class is Python virucides. The order is Picorn viralis. The family is Coliviviridae. The genus is the norovirus. The species is the Norwalk virus. Scientific name is norovirus, and the common name is the Norwalk virus. It also has another name called the winter vomiting disease. This is just a picture of the Norwalk virus cell, and then this is a close-up of the actual virus in feces. For part B, it's a virus, so it actually doesn't have a cell, but it has cell-like properties. So it has like the nucleic acids in the protein, and it has like a single strand of RNA, but it doesn't have any actual cell properties other than that. Its mode of nutrition, it's pretty much a parasite, and it steals the nutrients from its host cell. Its environment is that it thrives in like usually insufficiently cooked foods or just like on people's bodies. So it usually can survive on things that are under 167 degrees Celsius. So if something is cooked improperly, then it can stay there. Not Celsius, sorry, Fahrenheit. The cell wall, it's got no cell walls, but it has a protein coat just to kind of enclose the nucleic acid. Its reproduction, it does the lysogenic cycle. Its movement, it's airborne transmission, it's highly contagious, or it can do the fecal-oral route, which is basically just person-to-person contact. Its uniqueness is that it can be spread through any surface, so contaminated food, water, just airborne, like if you're in an area after someone just threw up, or just on like improperly cooked food. Some more examples of the virus are the megavirus, Ebola virus, and the influenza virus. Some fun facts is that it has 685 million cases per year and 200,000 deaths a year. People under age 5 are most affected, and out of the 200,000 people that die, 50,000 of them are kids. It was named after the city of Norwalk, Ohio, after there was an outbreak in 1986. There are obviously no human benefits to it. It's an extreme illness and it's highly uncomfortable. My dad's actually had it. It causes diarrhea, vomiting, gastritis, stomach pain, headache, dehydration, and weight loss. This is just a diagram of the virus showing like each different parts, but that's really it. And then I've got my extremely long table of contents. Not table of contents, sources.